Ναι, φαίνεται το PowerPoint.
So, good evening for everybody. Welcome for this class. As usually, we're going to start with this PowerPoint presentation in order to know what are the steps we have to follow for this meditation course. So, as you can see on the title, it says Mindfulness of Breathing Meditation, Anapanasati. This is the practice, the method of meditation, which the Buddha practiced before his enlightenment. It was the basis which he used and to start his meditation, and later he developed Vipassana meditation in order to attain enlightenment. Therefore, in many discourses, he praised this meditation. So then, because he found it easy to follow, especially the breath is a natural process which occurs every time in our body. It is a vital force. So then, and to observe it, it is easy because it is repeated again and again. So then, it can cause the mind to attain easily concentration. That is why the Buddha praised this kind of concentration which arises with Anapanasati, with mindfulness of breathing. And here we have a quotation from him. That's why he says, this concentration, samadhi, through mindfulness of breathing, when developed and practiced, much is both peaceful and sublime. It is an unadulterated, blissful abiding, and it banishes and steals evil, unwholesome thoughts as soon as they arise. So therefore now he calls this kind of meditation concentration, because through mindfulness of breathing, one can attain deep concentration. So therefore the aim of this meditation is to attain concentration, which means oneness of the mind, unification of the mind to a certain on the breath, and one can get this peaceful, it becomes very peaceful and sublime, as the Buddha says. Because when the mind becomes unified, one can understand how peaceful that is. When the mind is scattered, dispersed, fragmented, then this peace also gets fragmented. Therefore, if one wants to attain peace, one has to unify the mind and attain this kind of concentration. So regarding the mind, also the Buddha says, this flickering, unsteady mind, difficult to guard, difficult to tame, the wise person strengthens it as a fletcher strengthens an arrow. So therefore, the simile the Buddha gives here, it is like a stretcher which strengthens the arrow. We should also strengthen our mind, make it straight, not crooked, not fragmented. So, and this kind of taming the mind, the Buddha tells regarding this, a tamed mind brings happiness. So therefore, if one can unify the mind, tame it in a certain object and concentrate it, that brings real happiness and also a sublime peace. So then we know that our mind is fragmented because it gets so much information, gets bombarded so much information. And this is how people, they feel frustration, anxiety, and stress, and whatever other dissatisfaction in life. So then, but through concentration, what is called samadhi, this concentration helps to unify the mind, to bring it in one point. That's why the Buddha speaks about oneness of the mind, or one-pointedness of the mind, which he calls cittase ekagata. This is the Pali word the Buddha uses. So then in order to explain this meditation, how to get this oneness of the mind, this concentration of the mind, the Buddha describes how first to start. And he starts explaining about the sitting position. Therefore, in his discourses, we can see when he explains this meditation, he will pinpoint first the sitting position, which is very important. So he tells sitting down, folding the legs crosswise, setting the body erect. So this is the same three points he tells about how to sit. Therefore now setting the body erect is the most important one, of course, in this context. So, and folding the legs crosswise, that can be easy for some people, it will be difficult. Therefore, we'll see how there are other options, other alternatives, how to sit. Now, for those who know Pali, I put also the Pali text for them to read, and they can check as called the Buddha's words in the Pali word also in the suttas. So then this posture what the Buddha suggests is a full lotus position. Usually both heels are on the thigh. So that is a yogic position, would the Buddha use it. And he was actually, in this context, he was a yogi. In this context, not like Hatha yoga, it's called, but from the point of meditation is Raja yoga, and if we can tell like that. But is to keep the body immovable and then to make the mind also immovable, because concentration achieves that aim, to make the mind immovable. So, and this posture helps for that purpose. There are also another alternatives. We have here also half lotus posture. You can see that one heel is on the thigh, while the other it is on the ground. That is also possible because you can see also here the body is erect. Then another option is the Burmese posture. So this is the both heels are on the ground and a little bit far from the body. So I can adopt this kind of position, and one is able to meditate because here again the spine is erect. So one can sit on half of a cushion. So but keep your back straight. So regarding placing your arms and legs, you should be placed comfortably. So you can relax them. You may place either your left or right leg in the front. Here you can see how the legs are. So it is, for some people, it is convenient to put the right leg in front. For others, here, the left leg in front. You can choose this kind of options here. But main thing, as we're told, is to keep the spine erect. So regarding the hands, you can relax them in this way. You can relax them that way. So because after you concentrate on the breath, the body is irrelevant. We don't need to to concentrate on the body, because after some time one loses the perception of the body when concentration increases. So therefore, these kind of hand positions are there just to put the hands in a relaxed way, so they don't we don't feel the weight of the hands, and they don't become a disturbance from concentration. So these are unnecessary hand positions. This is called mudras. If you like, you can do them, practice them, but in this context, they have no meaning because all the concentration is on the breath, and to keep focused the mind on the breath. So after some time, one loses the perception of the body anyhow, and the hands become loose. So then it is up to you if you want to keep this hand position, but are not absolutely necessary. So other position you can adopt, it is to sit on a stool, but here you can see the spine is erect, or in a seiza, this is a big cushion, or on a chair. So in all positions, you can see that the spine is erect. That is the most important part of sitting position. So this is a not suitable posture. So then, of course, any other similar postures are not suitable. Now the Buddha starts to explain about mindfulness of breathing, how we are going to observe the breath after we have adjusted our body and kept the spine erect. And he speaks about mindfulness of breathing as serenity meditation, how to keep this, to make the mind serene, tranquil through concentration. First, he starts to explain the place of observing the breath. So that is very important because we know who have to direct our attention in order to observe the breath. So therefore, he defines the place in such a way. He says, establishing mindfulness at parimukha. This is the Pali word he uses, and it means around or near the face or mouth. Pari means round, around or near, and mukha means face or mouth. That is called. Therefore, now this is a literal translation, and we'll see that is the place from where you usually breathe. It is the nose, and this is the Pali text, which those who know Pali, they can see it. So, I will explain why the Buddha does not tell the nose. The reason is that some people have short nose, they can feel the breath on the upper lip. So those who have normal nose, they can feel it on the nostrils and the nose tip. So therefore, he did not specify exactly the nose, but he put it around your face. What is in front of your face? What is in front of our face is usually our nose. But some people who can feel the breath in the upper lip, they can also, who have short nose, so they can identify the breath and recognize it and concentrate on that spot, which is the upper lip. So to understand the movement of the breath. So in that case, he did not mention specifically the nose alone, because other people, if they have short nose, they are not able to follow the breath. So now, in order to understand this in a more appropriate way, we're going to give a reference from a canonical book, which gives the definition of parimukha. So in order to remove our doubts, so here we have this reference here. It says, this mindfulness is established, well established at the nose tip or at the mark of the mouth, which the commentary says the upper lip. It's mukha nimitta. It is the upper lip. So hence it is said establishing mindfulness at parimukha. Therefore now it is a nose tip and the mark of the mouth, which is the upper lip, which this canonical book, which is called Vibhanga Pali, gives this definition. There is another canonical book which says something similar. In this way, he sits down by establishing mindfulness at the nose tip, nasikagge, or at the mark of the mouth, which is the upper lip. And this book also adds, he does not give attention to the in-breaths coming inside the body or the out-breaths going outside the body. So therefore, one has to concentrate in the nose, but should not give attention to the breaths who go inside the body, on the lungs or on the belly. So, and the out-breaths who go outside the body. So therefore, the whole attention, it is in the around the nose, on the upper lip. The reason is that if one follows the inhaling air inside the body as it travels in different bodily parts, one will then be practicing elements meditation. This is called dhatu manasikara. In regard to the air element, vayu dhatu, but not mindfulness of breathing. So that is a different kind of meditation which the Buddha has taught about the elements meditation. So to observe the air element in the body. Even so, by meditating on the air element only, one doesn't even practice elements meditation fully, because it is required to also meditate on the other three elements, solid, liquid, heat element, and to see their correlation. Therefore, it can't be said that one either practices mindfulness of breathing correctly or elements meditation correctly if one follows the breaths inside the body. So then, therefore, just to observe the element of air inside our body, one can't succeed with elements meditation and see the other three also. So in that case, now one can't be said that he's practiced elements meditation correctly. So you can see that the Buddha distinguishes these two meditation, and he somehow reminds us to bring our focus in front of our face, which is the nose on the upper lip. Hence, the Buddha advises in regard to mindfulness of breathing. So he says, let your mindfulness of breathing be well established in one's person at parimukha. When mindfulness of breathing is well established in one's person at parimukha, any inclinations for outward and vexing thoughts cease to exist. Here, the Buddha is very clear why we have to establish the verb. Now, he uses the verb establish. Now, the verb establish indicates the placing and fixing of one's mindfulness at parimukha, implying thus of not moving it hither and thither or onwards and backwards to any other place. The opposite of establish is disestablish, displace, change, move, remove, etc., which is not the case in Anapanasati Samadhi. So therefore now we understand that we have to establish fix our attention to the area which the breath strikes the nostrils, the nose tip on the upper lip. Therefore, you establish your mindfulness at the tip of your nose where the air strikes the nostrils, or at the upper lip. Observe the natural flow of your in-breath and out-breath at the nostrils or at the upper lip. It's called, here it is the in-breath. You have to focus on the nostrils. So in the around the nose, the area around the nose. So the same way also for the out-breath. We observe only the natural breath. We have not to force our breath. We actually breathe even if we sleep. So this is a natural flow of the breath we are doing even now. So we don't need to force our breath to breathe. The body breathes by itself. So in the same way, if we observe our breath, we do the same. We try to make our breath artificial. So we try to observe the natural flow of the breath. And just to observe, we are just the observers. So, and try to understand each in-breath and out-breath. So do not give attention to the in-breaths going inside the body. So any out-breaths, and or to the out-breaths going outside the body. So now the Buddha is going to give the first step, how to observe the breath. Now he explained about the place, how to observe the breath. Then he says, ever mindful one breathes in, ever mindful one breathes out. So therefore, for each in-breath, one should be mindful, and for each out-breath, one should be mindful. So that is the Pali text for those who know Pali. Therefore now here, as called, we know that we have to just to be mindful while breathing in and breathing out. So in this case, you also therefore ever mindful breathe in and ever mindful breathe out. Do so for about 5 minutes. So, and for every in breath, you mentally note in breath. For every out breath, you mentally note out breath. So in order to know, to be mindful, you have to use some words. Otherwise, the mind does not know what to do. So these words, in breath, out breath, in breath, out breath, you have to remember how to repeat them according to the experience. If you breathe in as call, then you mentally in breath. If you breathe out, you mentally note out breath. So initially, you have to use these words. Later, of course, when the mind becomes familiar, so one can skip these words. But in the beginning, in order to draw the attention to the breath, it is very important to use these words in breath, in breath, out breath. About 5 minutes, you can practice it like that. So do not use your eyes to pay attention to the breath, because some people, they try to see something there and they strain their eyes, they get some headache, so then you don't need to use your eyes, because there is nothing there to see. You just observe the breath. So therefore, you pay attention to the sensation at the tip of your nose or at the movement of the breath. It is the sensation you have to focus on. There is no color in the breath. There is no shape. If you concentrate, you can see there is just a sensation. So try to feel the sensation of the in and out breath, or at least the movement of the breath, the in breath, out breath. When thoughts or feelings distract you, ignore them. Come back to the sensation of your breath. So therefore now you have to concentrate on the breath, as called in the nose of the tip. So, and then try to understand the movement or the sensation of the breath. And mentally note in breath, out breath, in breath, out breath for every as called movement of the breath. So therefore now we use these words here which are relevant to the breath. We don't use any words which are completely irrelevant. So it has to do with our experience. You have to experience the breath, and accordingly you use words which are relevant to our experience, not any other words which have to do with other concepts. The concept here is the breath, in breath, out breath, and accordingly we use these words which are correspond exactly to the experience. So now the Buddha is going to explain the second step, and he says, when one breathes in long, one understands I breathe in long. So that means he speaks about long in breath, because sometimes we breathe out long in breath. So, and then he says, when one breathes out long, one understands I breathe out long. Long out breath. So then that is the time when we must be aware, to be mindful. That is a long out breath. This is the Pali text for those who are interested to read it. So now, in this case now, you also, when you breathe in long, understand I breathe in long. Long in breath, you mentally note long in breath. When you breathe out long, understand I breathe out long. Long out breath, you mentally note long out breath. Now, what means here long? It is actually the long time duration. So then, in this case, now what the Buddha tries to say us, it's called to advise us. It is that although we know in breath, in out breath, now we're trying to see more details, whether the breath is long or short, because later he will mention about the short breath. So in this case, we try to see if the breath is long. We mentally note long in breath, long out breath. These are the words we have to use in the second step. So then, and then he also says, when one breathes out in short, one understands I breathe in short. So short in breath, that is the time when you have to understand to be mindful. That is a short in-breath. So then when one breathes out short, one understands I breathe out short. That is also the same with short out breath. So then, therefore, you also, when you breathe in short, understand I breathe in short. Short in breath is called you mentally note short in breath. When you breathe out short, understand I breathe out short. Short out breath, you mentally note short out breath. So short means short time duration. So in that case now, our breath, you can understand that sometimes it's long, sometimes it's short. So what we try to see here, it is more details, not just to see the in-breath, out-breath, in-breath, out-breath as in the first step. In the second step, what we try to see it is whether our breath is long or short, to see more details. So to see it means that we want to see more deeper how this breath, this natural breath behaves. So in that case, you can do it for 2-3 minutes to see whether your breath is long or short, and accordingly, you mentally note if it is long, you mentally note long in breath, long out breath. If it is short, you understand this short in breath, short out breath. Now, short means you just feel the breath in the nostrils when very short time. Long means you feel it with a quite long time. In this way, you can understand the duration of the time. So we don't count the minutes actually, but you have to understand with your experience. And I give you just an example that if you just feel the breath slightly, that means short. If you can feel it normally, that it is some time is passes till the in-breath goes in and stops, that it is short, long in-breath. Same way with the out-breath. Now, the Buddha is going to explain now the third step, that also he wants to make us see more details, because you don't stagnate. With the first step, it is just to see grossly, in-breath, out-breath, in-breath, out-breath. So if one sees only that, one stagnates. So therefore now, if one goes to see more details, then the mind becomes more concentrated. It's like zooming in. If you zoom in and see more details, that is actually the aim here. Therefore now, to see what a short in breath, short or long, so that is like zooming in to see how this breath behaves. So then the third step, it is to see more details. And the Buddha says, one trains thus, I shall breathe in, experience the whole breath body. So that is a whole in breath. We are going to explain what means whole in breath. And he says, one trains thus, I shall breathe out, experience the whole breath body. Again here, the whole out breath. It is about to understand the whole out breath, not to see part of it. The first step, we see in breath, out breath, but we don't actually try to see when it begins, when it stops. Now, this whole out breath means we have to see from the beginning to the end the whole breath, not only part of it. This is what means whole, and we're going to explain it for some time because this needs some more explanation. So this is the Pali text for those who are interested in the Pali. So therefore now here we have the word body. The Buddha speaks about the body. And the Pali word is kaya. So, and some people misinterpret it. They think one should now what's the whole breath, the whole body. It means the whole body with the arms, the legs, and so forth, with the chest. They should observe the whole body, to experience the whole body. That is not the case. So we're going to see that what means body here when the Buddha gives himself the definition of body. So, and in order to clear any misunderstandings. So now we're going to give the meaning of the whole body, especially what means we're going to explain kaya, which literally means body, but it has also metaphorical meanings, like in English, it's called in English language. If we tell the body of this country, it is the water body of this country. We mean all the rivers and lakes in this country. So if we tell the body of English literature, we mean the whole collection. So in this way, in this case, we can understand that body is used metaphorically. It does not mean this physical body with bones and flesh. So therefore now the definition of kaya in this context is given by the Buddha thus. In the context of the breaths. He says, I say that this is a certain body, kaya, among the bodies, namely the in-breaths and out-breaths. So this is the Pali for those who want to check it. So therefore now this body, it is nothing else. It's not our legs and hands. It is actually the in-breaths and out-breaths. So we're going to explain why the Buddha explains like that. So therefore, Sabba-ka, the whole body, means in this context, the whole bodily process of the in-breaths and out-breaths. And kaya, body, is used in a metaphorical sense. It is said so because the meditator at this step begins to lose the perception of the physical body and starts to perceive the whole breath as a body, namely as a bulk or mass of air. Now, this bulk of air, this mass of air, it appears to the meditator like a body, like a bulk, a collection of air. So therefore, metaphorically, it is called, actually it is called body because slowly, the meditator starts losing the perception of the physical body and only the breath remains in front of him. That is, again, at the nose, around the nose, at the parimukha. One should not move one's attention to other parts of the body. Therefore, you also try to experience the whole in-breath at the tip of your nose. So when you, and mentally note whole in-breath. So when you experience the in-breath, you mentally note whole in-breath. And try to experience the whole out-breath at the tip of your nose. When mentally note whole out-breath. So therefore now, to see more details about the breath. So therefore now, this is how you have to pay your attention is the touching point at parimukha, and to see what? To see not only part of the breath, but to see the whole breath body. So that means you can see the beginning, middle, and end of the breath. So if you see only part of it, you can see only the beginning, you can't see the whole breath. You see only part of it. If you see only the middle, you can't see the whole breath. You see only part of it. If you see the end of it, you see only part of it. So we try to see from the very beginning till the end, the whole process, the whole bulk of in-breath and out-breath moving in and out. So I will give an example now how to do so. A gross example, it is like this violin player. Look, the eyes of this violin player, it is actually concentrated, his eyes are concentrated on the touching point. When the bow touches the chords, he does not give attention to the tip of the upper tip of the bow, so or to the lower tip of the bow. So he concentrates on the touching point. So where the bow touches the chords, that is actually from where the sound comes. That is the sound comes. So in the same way now the meditator, he gives attention not to the breath which goes inside the nose, not to the breath which goes outside the nose, but he gives attention to the touching point. So when the breath brushes the nostrils. So in that touching point, he can see the beginning, middle, and end of the breath. So therefore now, how this starts, is called when the breath starting touching the nostril, that is the beginning. When it continues touching the nostril, that is the middle. When it stops touching the nostril, that is the end. So in the same way, when the breath comes out, means the out breath, when it touches the nostrils at the beginning, when it continues touching the nostril, it is the middle. When it ends, stops touching the nostril, that is the end. So therefore, the meditators start to see the whole breath from the beginning till the end at the touching point. So in order to see the difference, we're going to understand the part of the breath. What means part of the breath? So some meditator knows only the beginning of the breath. He does not know when it stopped. So some meditators know only the middle, but he does not know when it started, when it stopped. Some meditators know only the end, but they don't know the beginning, the middle. So some meditators know the beginning and middle. Some they know the middle and end. Some know the beginning and end. So these are just part of the breath, only part of the breath. So in that context, the Buddha tries to tell us to know the beginning, middle, and end of the breath. So the whole process. So in that case, we try to concentrate more deeper to see more details. Therefore, the whole process is to start from the gross aspect of the breath, which is in breath, out breath. That is the first step. And we go a little bit deeper to see whether it is long or short. And then we go the third step a little bit deeper to see the whole breath from the beginning to the end. So that is the process. So not only stagnate on the first step, in breath, out breath, but to go to see more details. Then our concentration sharpens. So therefore, the whole breath it is in this context. You have to start with beginning to see the beginning and end of the breath. That is an easy way. At least start to see beginning, end of the breath. A mental note, beginning, end. So when you, for the in breath, the same way, start with beginning, end of the out breath. And mental note, beginning, end of the out breath. That is one way how to catch up with and understand not only part of the breath, but the whole breath from the beginning till the end. So these are the words we can use. Of course, these words we can use temporarily just for the mind to to be familiar what it has to do, to remind the mind what it has to do. Later, of course, one can skip these words when you already understand the whole process, and then you can no need to use these words. Only you can use them if the mind is wandering. You can bring the mind back by repeating these words in order to see more details. So in the same way, try also, if you want to try also see, to see also the beginning, middle, and end of the in-breath, and mental note, beginning, middle, end. So if you're going to go deeper, you can see. Now the middle is actually, so then if the breath starts touching the nostril, that is the beginning. When it continues touching the nostril, that is the middle. When it stops touching the nostril, that is the end. So this applies for the in-breath and out-breath. So, and then again, try to see also beginning, middle, end of the out-breath. And mental note, beginning, middle, end of the out-breath. So in that case, now you can use these words. So to draw attention deeper to the breath. And therefore, no, these words are not nothing to do with visions, nothing to do with fantasies, nothing to do with anything else which are irrelevant with experience. That's why the Buddha uses the word experience. We have to experience and also be aware, to be mindful of what we experience and try to see more details of our experience. So now the Buddha is going to give the first step, how to proceed. And he says, one trains thus, tranquilizing the bodily process of breath, Kaya Sankara, I shall breathe in. One trains thus, tranquilizing the bodily process of breath, Kaya Sankara, I shall breathe out. So here this means that even though the process of breath may become tranquil, calm, quiet, serene, and relaxing, one should not stop watching it, but continue paying attention to the in and the out breath. One should train oneself to pay attention to the in and out breath, despite when the breath becomes calm. So now, one word the Buddha uses here, he tells the bodily process. In Pali, what is called kaya sankhara. Now again, the word kaya comes here. I have to clarify because some meditators think the bodily process, it is something our physical body with bones and flesh. So here we have to bring some suttas from the Pali Canon for you to understand that is not so. Bodily process is actually the breath, in breaths and out breaths. So the definition of kaya sankhara, of bodily process, is given in the suttas thus. Here it's stated, in breaths and out breaths are a bodily process. These states are bodily, are bound up with a body. That is why in breaths and out breaths are a bodily process. So therefore now, what is a bodily process? In breaths and out breaths. It's not our limbs, our hands and legs, and any other parts of the body. It's actually the in breaths and out breaths. As we have already told, kaya in this context means in a metaphorical sense. So it is actually the whole function of the in breaths and out breaths. So here it is the Pali text for those who want to check the suttas, and also the quotations of the suttas are also there. So again, we have another canonical book which says also, what is the bodily process? Kaya sankhara. Long in breaths, long out breaths. Short in breaths, short out breaths are bodily. These states are bound up with the body and are bodily processes, kaya sankhara. So therefore now, from these definitions are very clear that bodily process is not any other process. It's just the in-breaths and out-breaths. So, and body means here in a metaphorical sense, the whole bulk, the whole mass of the it's called the breath, the air which enters our nostrils and comes out of our nostrils. Therefore, one should continue watching the natural bodily process of the in and out breath at parimukha, even though it may become tranquil, calm, quiet, serene, and relaxing. Because some people, if the breath becomes very calm, they think, oh, how nice, and they stop. So that is where is the time actually to continue one's meditation, to attain samadhi. That is the aim, to concentrate deeper and deeper. And that's why the Buddha says one should train oneself to, it's called to watch the breath again and again. So up to now, these are the steps. Now, the fourth step actually just to advise us to continue watching the in-breath. It's actually 3 steps we have to follow. So the first step is to mention the words in-breath, out-breath, in-out-breath for about 5 minutes. The second step is to see a little bit more details, whether our breath is long or short. You can do it for 2 or 3 minutes. And then the third step is actually the important one, because you can see the whole breath. So if you miss it, you can't consider the whole breath. You can use these words, beginning, end for the in-breath, beginning, end of the out-breath. So I have to use these words, beginning, end of the in-breath, beginning, end of the out-breath. So therefore, actually, you don't use many words. These are simple words you have to use, which actually correspond to our experience. It's not outside our experience. So then, of course, now while you do so, if there are any wandering thoughts coming and going, you just ignore them. You don't need to pay attention to them, because the mind all the time produce many thoughts. So our aim is here to bring our attention again to the breath. That's why we use these words, in breath, out breath, or beginning end of the breath, in order to bring our attention to the breath and focus on the sensation of the breath. Try to feel the breath, to experience the breath. So, or at least we can feel the flow of the air which comes in and out. So these are the words we have to use it in order to remind the mind what it has to do. If you don't remind the mind does not know what to do. So therefore, later, of course, you can skip these words when your mind becomes serene and so forth, becomes very well concentrated, and you can just let the mind experience the whole breath. So for those, of course, who have difficulty concentrating because there are some emotions coming, for example, they have some episode happening in their mind, they have distracting thoughts and feelings. So I will just, by the way, I will mention our method, how to overcome these distracting thoughts. So you can use this as an emergency case if you if you have such distracting thoughts. This is a counting method against distracting thoughts and feelings if they come during your meditation. For example, you try to concentrate again and again, but your mind is very distracted because some episode happened in your life and you can't concentrate. You can use this counting method, temporary, of course, till the mind becomes calm down. Then you can return back to the first method I told you. So therefore now, if there are sometimes distracting thoughts or feelings, you may try the following counting method to focus the mind to the breath. So you should not be confused with this method. Actually, the first method is the most efficient one. But if there are distracting thoughts, you can use this temporary. So therefore now, this is just, as I told you, not to confuse you, but to use it in as a case of urgency, emergency. So if your thoughts are very distracting and so forth. So therefore now I will mention for those who have this problem. Others, of course, they can skip this method. They don't need it. So if they can use the first method and attend samadhi, so they can, for those who need to calm down the mind, that is sometimes many people, they found it very useful. Therefore now I will give you the first counting method. So this is very simple. It's not complicated. So now for in breath, out breath, you mentally note 1. Means you count 1. So that means in the end of the out breath, you put the number 1. So then from an in breath, out breath, you mentally note 2. You count 2. So here for the in breath, out breath, you mentally note 3. And from the in breath, out breath, you mentally note 4. And then in breath, out breath, you mentally note 5. So you go up to 5 and you return to 1. This is very simple. So this method is efficient because you have to remember numbers. If you forget a number, so you have to start again from 1. But if you forget, that means your mind become absent-minded. And you can catch your mind very easily and bring it back to the breath. So then you go up to 5 and return to 1. And you can repeat this again, this cycle. Here it is just to summarize. So it is in breath, out breath, you mentally note 1. In breath, out breath, you mentally note 2. In breath, out breath, you mentally 3. In breath, out breath, you mentally note 4. In breath, out breath, you mentally note 5. So you go up to 5 and return to 1. If you miss 1, you get. If you miss maybe 3, 4, something, you forget it. So you start again from 1. So because there is sequence of numbers, you can easily understand whether your mind is focused or not. So then here it is again another summary. In breath, out breath 1, that means first round. In breath, out breath 2, that is second round. In breath, out breath 3, that is third round. In breath, out breath 4, it is fourth round. In breath, out breath 5, it is the fifth round. So it is easy, as called. After the mind becomes calm, you just return to the first method, which I've told you. Try to see the whole breath from the beginning to the end. This is a gross method. Now, counting method, you see the breath in a gross manner. You don't try to see many details, but it helps to bring the mind towards the breath instead of telling in breath, out breath, in breath, out breath. So if you put numbers there, so then it is easy for some people to concentrate better. So then after the mind becomes calm, you return to the first method I told you. So then even so, some people, they need some, if they have very, very tense, intense distracting thoughts, this method may be too soft for them. They might need another way how to calm the mind. So therefore, I am suggesting here, if however the distracting thoughts or feeling persist and are tough, you may try the following tougher counting method by repeating the same number of the in-breath and out-breath. So tougher means you just repeat the same number 2 times. Here, this is second counting method. So in-breath, out-breath, in-breath, you mental not 1. Out-breath, you mental not 1 again. So then you repeat the same number for the in-breath and out-breath. Means the number you put for the in-breath, you put also for the out-breath. So in the same way, in-breath, mentally not 2. Out-breath, you mentally not 2. So because you repeat 2 times the number, you are able to remember the time better. The same way, in-breath, you mentally not 3. Out-breath, you mentally not 3. And again, in-breath, you mentally not 4. Out-breath, you mentally not 4. And then in-breath, you mentally not 5. Out-breath, you mentally not 5. You go up to 5 and return back to 1. It is the same method. You only just repeat the same number for the in-breath and out-breath. The number you put for the in-breath, you put also out-breath. So that because you repeat the number, as I told you, 2 times, then you can remember better. The mind doesn't get scattered, does not get diffused. So you can focus it better to the breath. So therefore now, in summary, this second method, it is in-breath, you mentally not 1. Out-breath, you mentally not 1. In-breath, you mentally not 2. Out-breath, you mentally not 2. In-breath, you mentally not 3. Out-breath, you mentally not 3. In-breath, you mentally not 4. Out-breath, you mentally not 4. In-breath, you mentally not 5. Out-breath, you mentally not 5. So, and you go up to 5 and return to 1. So here is another way to see the summary. In-breath, out-breath 1, that is the first round. In-breath 2, out-breath 2, that is the second round. In-breath 3, out-breath 3, that is the third round. In-breath 4, out-breath 4, it is fourth round. In-breath 5, out-breath 5, it is fifth round. So therefore now, when the mind becomes comes down, you may return to the experience the whole breath. So here is the whole breath. As I told you, you can see the beginning, middle, and end of the in and out breath. And you mental note beginning, middle, end of the breath. So this is how you can actually make some tricks in order to calm down the mind. Because our mind, it is not used towards the breath. We have somehow to train it. As the Buddha tells, it's a training. In order to experience the breath and to concentrate it. Our mind is scattered, fragmented, it likes to jump from object to object. So if we try to bring it to experience the breath, so sometimes it does not like. Sometimes it likes, because if it is already has no much anxiety and so forth, then of course you will like it. But if it has a lot of anxiety, it's difficult to calm it down. Therefore, I suggested you can use this counting method, and you will see how, if the mind becomes calm, you can go back to the first method, which is more empirical, more experiential. As called, you can see more details about the beginning, middle, and end of the breath. So if one continues so by doing, and the concentration increases in a high degree, then the sign of concentration may appear. We're going to see now what are the results. So there is a kind of sign of concentration we speak about. This is what the Buddha uses. Now, usually this is a sign of concentration, is a kind of light which may appear in the front on breath. So then because the mind becomes very concentrated, very condensed, so this kind of light appears. We're going to explain what is the nature of this light. But first we're going to explain what Nimitta, or Samadhi Nimitta, because some people, they have doubts where it comes. If the Buddha ever uses it. Yes, there are many references in the Canon Pali. This is a term which the Buddha used many times. Therefore now, Nimitta or Samadhi Nimitta and Samatha Nimitta, these are the words the Buddha used. And Samadhi Nimitta, this word occurs about 25 times in the Sutta Pitaka and refers to various samatha and vipassana meditations depending on the context. And then Samatha Nimitta, this word occurs about 11 times in the Sutta Pitaka and refers to samatha meditation. So therefore now we have a sutta where the Buddha speaks about the Samatha Nimitta. He says, there is the sign of serenity meditation, Samatha Nimitta. Frankly, giving careful attention to it is the nutriment of the enlightenment factor of concentration. So, and the sign of serenity, according to the commentaries, is serenity itself as well as its object. That means the Patibhaga Nimitta or counterpart sign. So the commentaries give more details and sub-commentaries also. According to these commentaries, we have three types of Nimitta, actually. We're going to see what are the three types of signs. So we have the preparatory sign, which is called Parikama Nimitta, the acquired sign, which is called Uggaha Nimitta, and counterpart sign, which is called Patibhaga Nimitta. The meanings of Nimitta is a sign, a mark, an image, a mental image, a reflex image. Now, what is the preparatory sign? A preparatory sign, which is called Parikama Nimitta, is what the Buddha told, establishing mindfulness at Parimukha. So therefore now at Parimukha, we've told already this is actually the tip of the nose or on the upper lip. That is a preparatory sign. How it is a sign? Because the meditator can feel the breath in that place. That is a sign, means if the air strikes the nostrils, the meditator gets a sign, okay, that the breath enters. When the breath exceeds, so then the meditator gets a sign, a feeling in the nostrils that the breath goes out. This is the preparatory sign what the Buddha tells to establish mindfulness in this area. In order to start observing breath. If you don't have this kind of place to observe the breath, then the mind becomes scattered and diffused and does not know where to fix the attention. So they are fixing the attention on the Parimukha. It is actually the sign of the movement of the breath. This sign itself helps to prepare oneself for concentration. So, and then another sign we have mentioned, it is the acquired sign, which is called Uggaha Nimitta, the still unsteady image which arises when the mind has reached a high degree of concentration. Now, this light appears because when the mind has reached a high degree of concentration, so this light appears in front of the meditator, which is connected with the breath. So that is a kind of acquired sign that the mind has become mature and has reached a high degree of concentration. And then the other sign we have mentioned is called the counterpart sign. It's called Patibhaga Nimitta, an entirely clear and immovable image arising at such high degree of concentration. So for this light, this former light, which was very weak, this light here slowly becomes, comes and covers the whole face of the meditator. When it is and becomes very immovable, that is the time when the meditator actually understands that his meditation has increased. So soon after this image arises the stage of access concentration, upachara samadhi, and it is the access concentration is reached. So access concentration means one is very close to the jhana, to the full absorption of the mind into the Patibhaga Nimitta, counterpart sign. That is called the attainment of the first jhana, when the mind sinks into this counterpart sign. This is called the full absorption. So these are actually it's called the jhana. It is the first experience of the meditator when the mind becomes full absorbed into the object. So, and we're going to explain how this light appears, how this happens. So, because it is a mystery for many meditators. So, and then now this bright sign or the light varies depending on the meditator. So, for some it is a bright light such as the morning star, a bright ruby, a gemstone, or a bright pearl. For others, it is like a moon or a sun. Why? What is the reason for that? It is because of different perceptions. They can see this light in different perspectives. It is now, if we see in the prisma here, it's called the white light, if it is called and passes through the prisma, we can have a rainbow effect. It splits into different it's called colors. So, and it depends from which angle somebody sees in order to see this these colors. So, and the same way now, some meditators, if they see from this angle or from the other angle, they can see different colors. They see different shape, like a rabbi, like a gem, like a moon, like a sun. So these are the shapes of the same color, the same light they see. But that doesn't matter. It is actually, if this light is connected with the breath, we call it Nimitta. It means Samadhi Nimitta, the sign of concentration, that has the concentration has reached a certain maturity. So now, what is this light? The light is a product of intense mental concentration. In reality, it is just photons, as called, which appear in front of the meditator's mind. So that appear in the meditator's mind due to the condensation of electromagnetic waves that exist in our bodies. We know we have electromagnetic waves in our bodies. So, and you have, for example, the electric spectrum. So when, as called, you can see certain waves, if they get condensed, so then a kind of color, as called, colors appear in front of your eyes. Something similar happens. This is condensation of electromagnetic waves because of mental concentration. So then if the mind becomes very condensed, very compact because of mental concentration, it can produce these photons to appear in front of one mind, and there are different colors, a light appears. So therefore now it is nothing mystic, and we understand that in our body there is already proof that is electromagnetic waves in our body. Here we have the Kirlian photography. I don't know whether you know about that. We can get as called the electromagnetic spectrum of our body. So it is not our body only, even plants, they have it. So this is how the meditator can see this light inside if the concentration becomes powerful. So what is basically recorded in Kirlian photography are the very natural phenomena in our body, such as pressure, electric grounding, humidity, and temperature. Changes in humidity, which sometimes reflect changes in emotions, barometric pressure, and electric voltage, among many others, will produce different auras. So therefore now this aura, what the meditator can see in front of him, this light, is actually because of this, not barometric pressure, because of the concentration, condensation of the of electromagnetic waves because of concentration. So, but this light actually comes and helps the meditator. It facilitates him to see more clearly the breath. It's like having a torch in front of you, and you can see the breath so clearly. You can't miss even a small particle of the breath. You can see all the particles of breath, how they move in, how they go out, because of this powerful light. This makes the meditator concentrate more. Therefore, this light comes like a friend to you. So to help you facilitate your concentration to see more clearly. So if the mind, if you close your eyes and usually you can see some darkness inside you. So if you try to watch the breath, sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. But once the concentration increases, this light appears, so you can see the breath so clearly. It's like having a torch in front of you. So, but regarding this light, there are misinterpretations, okay? And we're going to see how, about this misinterpretation of this light by mystics, etc. Some yogis or meditators, they misinterpret this light. So because they don't know how to analyze it. So in Buddhism, we have Vipassana meditation also. That's why through Vipassana meditation, which is more analytic approach of meditation, one can actually analyze this light and see that it consists just of photons. It's nothing mystic. So therefore now some mystics, of course, some meditators, they will call this light the immortal, pure light of infinite consciousness. The cosmic light, the cosmic consciousness, the cosmic energy, God, God's grace, the union of man with the divine, enlightenment, the infinite ego, the soul, the spirit, Brahma or his grace, Bodhisattva or his grace. These are misinterpretations and can be misleading. This light can mislead some meditators to interpret it in different ways. So therefore now, in the beginning, the meditator should not pay attention to this light, especially this acquired sign, because it is, if one pays attention to this light, one can see that this light disappears. The reason is that, why? Because the concentration drops, it decreases, gets reduced. If the meditation concentration reduces, so it gets reduced, then this light also gets reduced and sometimes disappears. So one can see that it's just a product of concentration. It's nothing else. It does not come from somehow outside us. It is the product of our concentration. It's not a mystery. We have not to give some such mystic interpretations on it. So if one really analyzes it, that is, you can see just a physical phenomena. It's not metaphysical. Now, all right, now I have explained you these points here because are important. I can't avoid explaining this because some things have been misinterpreted. I have to clarify some points. So that is regarding the Anapanasati meditation, mindfulness of breathing meditation, which I explained. It is the method is simple. We don't use, as I told you, any words which are irrelevant with our experience. All the words correspond to the direct experience we have in front of our nose. And we repeat some words, as I told you, in breath, out breath, and then whether the breath is long, in breath, or short, in breath, and so forth. So we repeat this word just to see more details. And then we can try to see the whole breath and from the beginning to the end. In that case, we use the word beginning, end. So if you you are in the third step, you can continue, you go back to the first step. So that is how you use these words. And then the concentration will increase, the more detail we see. So, and the rest will come by itself. If this light will appear by itself, the mind becomes very calm, very serene. You can see that slowly, the more some brightness appear in the mind because this distracting words disappear. This fog we told in the mind goes off, and then this brightness comes, which can slowly get condensed in front of our nose and becomes connected with the breath. So in the beginning, one should not give attention to this light. You might be aware of it, but it is not necessary to give attention. It comes like a friend to help you. But if you look at it, then it disappears. So, and therefore now continue with your watching your breath. Till that light becomes more powerful. It can cover your face, and slowly you may attain jhana if you continue with your concentration. So then, although we explained this about mindfulness of breathing, today we're going to explain another meditation also about metta meditation. So we have translated this mindfulness of meditation of friendliness. So then the reason is we're going to explain this because there are sometimes occasions where there are strong emotions who can come in our minds. So we call this negative emotions, like for example, anger, hate, hatred, some stress, so or fear. There are strong emotions which actually can prevent us to concentrate on the breath, to the subtle movement of the breath. So it can distract our mind, and many meditators find it difficult to concentrate on the breath because these are very strong emotions. So then, in order to overcome them, the Buddha has taught this meditation called friendliness, metta meditation. And we're going to explain, especially for people who have this difficulty, maybe today or tomorrow. Other days, maybe the mind becomes calm. But if this emotion comes by accident, you can use this meditation in order to calm down the mind. After we can start practicing Anapanasati. So therefore, this is like for emergency case. If these strong emotions come and you are lost, you're overpowered by them. So in order to liberate yourself from them, in order to get rid of them, so that is one way how the Buddha taught this kind of meditation to remove these negative emotions. First, we're going to explain the meaning of metta. Now, metta comes from the word mita. In Sanskrit, it's called mitra, which means friend. So Indians know that. They use this word with the mitras, so with the friends. So, and they know mita, or in Pali, Sanskrit mitra, so it means actually friend. And its real meaning is the disposition of a friend. Mita se bhavo, that is friendliness. Actually, you have a friendly feeling towards yourself, towards others. That means you have not inimical feeling toward yourself and others. Because some people, they are actually enemies to themselves. So they find a lot of faults with them. They are actually, they have self-blame. They blame themselves a lot. They become not friends with them. They become like enemies with themselves. So in the same way, they can also enemies with others. So this metta is actually to remove this enmity towards oneself and towards others, to bring some friendly disposition, friendly feelings oneself and to others. It is a friendly goodwill and wish for the welfare and happiness of all, wishing, may all beings be well and safe, may they be happy. Now this phrase comes actually from the Karaniyametta Sutta, a very famous sutta of Buddha. But here it is actually we wish, and we are also beings, ourselves are beings. When we told all beings, including ourselves, not beings who are only outside ourselves, but also including us. So, and then the aim of metta it is that anger can be abandoned by the development of metta, friendliness. Hence the Buddha says, this is the escape from anger, ill will, hate, the liberation of the mind by friendliness. Again he says, cultivate the meditation of friendliness. By cultivating the meditation of friendliness, anger disappears. Again he says, there is the liberation of the mind by friendliness, frequently giving wise attention to it. This is the denourishing of the arising anger that has not yet arisen, and of the increase and strengthening of anger that has already arisen. So therefore, this is actually the liberation of the mind from anger, hostility, even stress, because stress also is a form of anger. We have anger of something that we get stressed. Fear is also a form of anger. So if we see a snake, so you get fear because we get somehow repulsed by it. The kind of repulsion is called we generate some anger within us. So therefore, even sorrow is a form of anger, and jealousy is a form of anger. Who don't like others to have some success, you get angry with them. Who don't like that. So all these actually we call it negative emotions. But before going to explain how to practice metta, we want to clarify some other things. Now, sometimes metta is translated as love, and we have to explain that metta does not mean love. So you can find some books called about that, how they translate love, or something with loving kindness, or something with loving. So now we're going to dispel some doubts regarding this. Now the Pali word for love is prema and piya. In Sanskrit is prem and priya. And in Hindi, it's prem and piyar. So those who know Hindi, they at least know. They never use metta for love. They use prem and piyar. Now, if you want to learn Hindi, how to say love in Hindi, here please are the words. So, and now this is nothing to do with metta. It is love is different emotion. And love implies a strong emotion of affection and attachment, which in turn can bring sorrow and fear if that love is not fulfilled. That's why the Buddha says, from love, pema, piya, springs sorrow. From love springs fear. For him who is wholly free from love, there is no sorrow, hence then fear. So therefore, these strong emotions can actually, with strong emotion, we have a lot of expectations. If we have a lot of expectation, if these expectations are not fulfilled, then we feel sorry. And we feel fear that we're going to lose the object of our love. That's why now, and this is how it is not conducive for peace of mind. The same the Buddha says about craving, tanha, the origin of existential suffering, dukkha samudaya, making it to understand that love is a form of craving and attachment. Thus he states, from craving, tanha springs sorrow, from craving springs fear. For him who is wholly free from craving, there is no sorrow, hence then fear. However, instead of love, he urges his disciples to develop other noble qualities towards oneself and others, such as metta, which literally means friendliness or a friendly disposition, karuna, compassion, mudita, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. So therefore now we're going to explain how to practice metta meditation as serenity, and to see that is not love and so forth. It is actually, as the Buddha says, it is the escape and mental freedom from animosity, hostility, ill feeling, antagonism, enmity, malice, resentment, bitterness, antipathy, ill will, anger or hate, fear, sorrow, jealousy, stress, anything we call negative emotions. Therefore, if you have anger in your mind, if you have hate in your mind, if you have fear in your mind, if you have sorrow in your mind, if you are jealous in your mind, if you have stress in your mind, then it is a time to practice metta meditation in order to remove this kind of negative emotions. So in order to start that, now we're going to see how it is possible to do so. So therefore now, if you feel, for example, anger, you can wish yourself, may I be without anger. So you have to take yourself as an object. So because meditation here does not mean recitation. Recitation, you just repeat words like a mantra, so, but you don't have an object for concentration. That is just recitation. But meditation needs an object in order to increase the concentration, to focus the mind. In that case, you have to take yourself as an object, sometimes your whole body. You have to draw all the attention towards yourself, because sometimes anger spreads all over the body in our nervous system. It can affect our whole nervous system. So you draw your attention to your whole body, or in places where your body, you feel it becomes tense. So, and take yourself as an object and wish yourself, may I be without anger. Now, by wishing may I be without anger, what happens? We withdraw our mind from this emotion which is called anger. Don't try to fight with this anger. Don't try to push it away from us. We just withdraw our mind, take it away. Without means to be free from it. So in that case, what is happening that if we withdraw our mind, this anger has no more fuel within us. And then you can see after some time it drops. So we deprive it from its fuel by telling, may I be without this anger. So we don't try to fight it, to suppress it. No, that is not the way. So therefore now we have to wish, may I be without anger, again and again, draw your attention to yourself, and you'll see that after some time this anger dissolves, goes away, because it has no more fuel. But if you pay attention to it in a normal way, you give it more fuel. You get entangled with it. actually you get involved with it, and ultimately you actually give it more fuel for you to continue. But if we withdraw your mind, you just take it away from it, and which may be without anger, you can see this anger has no more support, and it drops, it goes by itself. So that is one way how to get rid of this anger. Of course, this anger may repeat itself again and again, because if you have this anger for days, sometimes for weeks, sometimes for months, so don't expect this anger to go away. It will repeat like waves, it will come again. But you have to repeat again and again. It's called maybe without anger. Focus on that. It's called that emotion of anger. And you see that without support, this anger can't persist. So if memories of yourself come, as called, we have remember yourself that you have got angry with somebody or some episode, you take again yourself as an object, as called, and wish yourself may be without anger, either in the present moment or in past memories if they come, and see how yourself reacted. So you can go ahead and take yourself as an object and wish yourself may be without anger. By doing so, you can see that this anger, it's called, disappears, and so become less, till your mind becomes calm. So another emotion can be hate. If you feel hate towards yourself, towards others, and so forth, you can wish maybe without hate. Hate is actually a higher degree of anger. It is the same emotion, but is a little bit higher degree. So if you feel fear, you can wish yourself may be without fear. If you feel sorrow, you can wish yourself may be without sorrow. If you feel jealousy, you can wish yourself may be without jealousy. Jealousy is also a kind of anger. You don't like people to have more success on us or more qualities on us and so forth. Therefore, this kind of annoyance. We get annoyed with people who do things we don't like them to do, or they possess things, they have certain qualities. So actually, all the anger arises because of annoyance. Whenever we get annoyed with something, that means anger already came in our mind. And there are so many things we may get annoyed every day. So if these sparks of annoyance again continue, then it builds up and you can feel it, very strong emotion of anger or fear sometimes, which arise in our mind. So therefore, by practicing this metta meditation, one will have self-knowledge, how to protect oneself from this kind of negative emotions. So if you feel stress, for example, you can wish yourself, may I be without stress. So these are the most common emotions I told you. You may, of course, use in your own language. It's called how to express this. Maybe you can find synonyms of these emotions if you check and so forth, or you know better how you feel at that moment. You can express it in your own way. But main thing is you have to wish to be without it or to be free from it. And while you withdraw your mind, you can see that this emotion has no more support and will go away. So if the mind becomes calm, then you can wish yourself, may I be happy. So because in this meditation, what we're doing it is, in the first step, we try to get rid of this negative emotion. But in the second step, we try to bring up positive emotions. So, and to be happy, or that is what most people wish, because I don't know whether you know somebody who gets up in the early morning and he says, may I be unhappy today. So most of the people, so they subconsciously wish to be happy in different forms. So in happy means without problems, without worries, without anxiety, and everything would be smooth in my life. That is the happiness which many people wish and so forth. In whatever countries they are, that is the deep wish to be happy. So therefore now, if we can catch this word and understand it, then we repeat, may I be happy, then it is also possible to know what are the things which makes us unhappy and can avoid them. So then you can contrast what means happiness and what means unhappiness in ourselves. So therefore now, once these negative emotions go away and mind becomes calm, you can wish yourself again, may I be happy. Whether in the present moment or whenever memories come of yourself that you have been happy with your friends, with your family members, whatever and so forth, memories come, take again yourself as an object and wish yourself, may I be happy, may I be happy. Whether in the present moment or past moment you remember about yourself, wish again yourself, may I be happy. So you can see how you can change your mind by positive thoughts. So because if you leave your mind, so it all the time will go in its own way to produce many negative thoughts. So, but you can train the mind. The mind is something flexible. It's nothing like a rock. You can't change it. You can change by producing very positive thoughts. Therefore, if you repeat again, may I be happy, you can be happy. These very positive thoughts can produce very positive feelings. So, and once you feel very, as called this, satisfied, then you can also wish other people, may he or she be happy. Whoever other people come in your mind, wish them the same. So therefore now, as called, you can share this happiness with others, and as called your friends. If your friends come in your mind, your mother and father, your relatives, whoever comes in your mind, wish them to be happy. So therefore now you can start with something concrete, people who are around you, and slowly you can expand this, as called, to tell other people, or to wish other people to be happy. Even if you see people as a group somewhere, standing in the bus stand or somewhere, and if you bring in the mind, wish them to be happy, you also can also expand this meditation to very larger groups of people. So by doing so, the effect is like you take a tennis ball and you hit it on the wall, and this tennis ball will come back to you. So if you wish other people also to be happy, you can see this will come back to you. This happiness will come back to you. So that is where the concentration will increase. And actually with metta meditation, one can attain up to the three jhanas. So, and it is very effective for many people to practice concentration through metta meditation. With Anapanasati, one can attain third jhanas. So, but you can see that both meditation can lead, as called, even to jhanas. So then that is now for you, or for those at least who have problems with negative emotions for this time period, especially when they have stress and so forth or whatever. So they can use this metta meditation. When the mind becomes calm, if you turn your attention to the breath, you can see how smooth the breath is. Because that has effect to the whole nervous system, to the heart, as called, to the other parts of the body. And you can feel actually your breath becomes more smooth, more smooth. And it's easy to concentrate on the breath. So today I will conclude my explanations regarding this metta meditation and also mindfulness of breathing meditation. So then, we will try to have a session with this meditation class today, meditation session. So then we usually allow people to ask some questions before we start, at least 5 minutes. If there is something very specific question you want to ask, you can raise your hand the way we told you. So you can go down in the Zoom screen. So you can see, if you put your arrow and hold your finger, your device, you can see there are small icons like a microphone. You can see about security, about chat, and then record. There is a small face in the end which says reactions. So if you click on that, there are two hands. You can actually press this one, which is a palm. So, and then we can understand that you want to ask a question. We are going to unmute you, and you can ask the question verbally. If you want to ask in a written form, you can go to the icon which says chat, and then you can type your message there. That's called your question. So, and we can answer your question from there. And another way it is just to raise your physical hand. So then that is also one way how you can actually note that you are going to ask a question. We usually mute the people because there are many sounds coming from the environment. So that's why that is a way how we encourage people to use this kind of technical ways how to communicate with us by raising the hands or by writing a text in the chat box.
Bante, there are 3 questions in the chat.
So then, what is the first? Okay. All right, there is one question here from Sila Chipak. Okay. The question is, should I let myself to feel deeply these emotions? And how can I let them away? So now, regarding metta meditation, if these emotions arise, actually these emotions are there. If they are there, you feel them anyhow. So, and you have to become aware of them. What we do it is to become aware. You can become, it's called, name them. What is this emotion? If it is anger, I give you some examples of hate or hatred or fear or it's called anxiety or stress. So I just give you some examples. You can identify what is this emotion we feel in that very moment, what is disturbing your mind. So, and then you actually try to become aware of it and wish yourself may be without this emotion. It's simple, just by drawing your attention to your body or to your presence. So, because you, at that moment, you don't think about the trees or the birds outside your house, you think about yourself. That's why I'm telling you, you have to take the object of yourself and draw all your attention towards yourself. So, and wish yourself may be without this emotion. If this emotion is not present, it is useless to tell may I be free from it because there is no there. By the time you feel it, you know it is there, it is disturbing your mind, then only you tell may I be free from it. So, and you have to be better to be precise what the emotion is. So, but actually it is all the forms of anger. So it is the anger which produces anxiety in us. Now we are, we get annoyed with something, and we feel anger arising in us. Just small parts of annoyance. It produces anger in us. It produces anxiety. It produces stress and fear and so forth. So you can start telling maybe without anger. This is more simple. So otherwise, you can choose any other words to describe your emotion and wish yourself may I be without that. You don't let them away. Actually, you withdraw your mind, as I told you, and you see that this emotion without having any support, because you don't get dragged along with this emotion. You don't get involved, don't get entangled with this emotion. We just withdraw your mind, and you can see this emotion have no more support, have no more fuel, it goes away. So these are already explained. I hope you have understood it. So now regarding Ellie asks, which is your opinion about guided meditation? Could them be useful for beginners? Now in this meditation and so forth, how can I guide you and so forth? Because we have to use the natural breath. So we don't try to make our breath artificial. If the teacher tells you breathe in, breathe out and so forth, you make the breath artificial because you don't follow what you experience. You try to do what the teacher tells you. But in this case, try to be yourself a teacher and try to see what you feel, what you experience in your breath. You have to repeat the words yourself. Okay, because now the time you breathe in, the other person may breathe out and the other person may do something else. So therefore the teacher does not tell all the meditators breathe in, breathe out and so forth, very bad. It is like going to the gym as called, and actually making breathing exercise. You don't try to concentrate to what's called. Therefore, now it is you make it artificially, but try and use the words yourself. You have to guide yourself. You have to guide your mind by repeating these simple words. And these are just simple words you do. So just repeat yourself in breath, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. So you have to repeat these words by yourself. It is not difficult. So, and then you can see more details, long in breath or long out breath, and so forth. Or you can see the big, it's called to see, to try the whole breath. I told you to see beginning end of the breath. These are just simple words you have to use. It is not difficult. And about metta meditation, it's called, you have to identify what the emotion is and try to work it out yourself. You have to repeat maybe without anger yourself. You have to feel it, to understand. It's called to understand the whole process of anger, for example, and try to concentrate on yourself. Therefore, now it's difficult to do guided meditation. It will be completely artificial, in an artificial way. So, therefore, try to have the direct experience, direct knowledge, what is going within you. Be the teacher yourself by simply repeating these words as I have mentioned. So it is not difficult. We don't try to visualize something, to bring your fantasies, to use your fantasy, to and so forth. You try to experience what is there, present, real thing, not unreal things. So Adelson asks, is it possible to develop metta by focusing on the breath only? If you focus on the breath, you watch your breath. You don't watch the feelings any of anger and so forth. So you can actually just ignore them. But in that case, it is you don't practice metta. Metta it is you can focus on the negative emotion and also towards yourself in order to get rid of it. So therefore now during breathing meditation, if there are some small of anger coming, if you can ignore them, okay, they will somehow go away. If it is very not intense, just small sparks of anger, it will come. If you just ignore them, might go away. But in case this anger it is a strong emotion, however much you try to concentrate on the breath, it does not go away. So, of course, in that means you are just wasting your time by watching the breath, because actually you don't watch the breath. You get involved with this emotion. It's just wasting the time to watch the breath. 5 minutes pass, 15 minutes pass. If you ask whether you breathe in and out, you don't know. Even if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, you don't remember the numbers because your mind is full of this negative emotion. That's why it is just waste of time if you just watch the breath. Try to watch this emotion. Turn all your attention to this emotion, negative emotion, and walk it the way I've explained it. So now there are some other questions from Karis Harvey. The question comes and says, should the eyes be open or closed? The eyes are actually can be closed because there is nothing there to see in front of you. So the breath, it is just the air which enters the nostrils and exits. Can you see the air in front of you? You can't. What if you open your mind, maybe you can see what are the objects in front of you, colors and shapes. These will be distracting. So therefore, in that meditation, we usually close the eyes and try to focus on the cessation of the breath, on or the movement of the breath. So therefore now, the eyes are useless. There is no any function of the eyes in that moment. It is the mentally concentrating the breath on the cessation or the movement of the breath. So therefore now, whether it is better to close the eyes, otherwise it would be distractions. If something moves in front of you, or you try to see the objects in front of you and try to think about the colors and shapes of the objects, which is not the case during this meditation. All right, now because there are some other questions, I will reply them after we start the meditation class, meditation practice, because the time already has passed. Many meditators are waiting for the cushions and called yoga mats to start meditating. So other meditation called questions you can ask later, and I'll reply to them. So you can actually put your choice whether you like to meditate for how long you want to meditate.
You have to exercise your right to vote.
So, all right, now 51% voted for 30 minutes. That means half of the participants, they voted for 30 minutes. And 40 minutes is 20%. And 45 minutes is 18%. And 60 minutes is 11%. Like last time, in order to satisfy both all participants, I would suggest we are going to meditate 35 minutes. So not to be unfair for others who want to meditate a little bit more. And as I already mentioned, this is just to, this session is just to learn the technique. That's why I make a recording. Those who want to practice, they can do it in their free time. They can increase the time if they like. So today we'll just make it just a trial for you to see how you can succeed. So then in this way now we don't put a lot of time for some meditators because there are many beginners who can increase the time to 60 minutes. So for some people it's quite difficult, and the time is also quite late. So therefore, we'll limit us in 35 minutes. So therefore now, before we start, a bell is going to ring. But those who have the volumes high, they have to check the devices. So not to be disturbed by the bell, if it is the volume is too high. So then again, I will repeat what we have to do before we start very briefly for you to remember. So the method is very simple. So we just try to sit on a chair or on the floor, on a bed. But however you sit, try to keep your spine erect. So that is very important. And try to keep your head in such a way so that the nostrils, the nose is parallel to the ground. So the nose should not be towards the ceiling or towards the ground. So, and try to bring all your attention to your body and tell yourself, relax, 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 relax. So to prepare the mind, because some people think if they go for meditation, they'll go for a battlefield. It's not the case. We're going to relax. So to remind the mind what it has to do, just preparation. So then, and then slowly, after you tell relax 3-4 times, draw your attention to the tip of the nose. Usually people who have a normal nose, they can feel the breath in the tip of your nose. Draw your attention to it. And see the natural breath, the natural rhythm of the breath. If you can't feel the breath, you can at least take some 2, 3, 4 times deep breath. And so again, afterwards, you can try to see the natural rhythm of the breath. So this is the rhythm of our life. From the time we have been born, this is the rhythm of our life. You actually see the rhythm of life. So how our breath enters our body, how it exceeds our body. So the whole attention is in the tip of the nose, that is the gate. The gate from the breath goes in and out. So when you breathe in, you mentally not breath in breath, you can tell in breath, or when you breathe out, you tell yourself out breath. So you use these two words according to the experience you have. So, and you can do it for 5 minutes till the mind becomes very familiar with it. So after you go to see more details, whether the breath is long or short, and you mentally note long in breath, long out breath, or short in breath, short out breath. You can do it for 2-3 minutes. After then you go to see more details, that is to see the whole breath. So in order to see so you can repeat this word, beginning, end of the in-breath, beginning, end of the out breath. Just to tell beginning, end, that is good enough, because now you know what you are watching. It's actually the in-breath and out-breath. So therefore, the first step is just preparatory, and then you will go to see more details in, it's called beginning, end of the breath. So it is simple. We don't need to use many complicated words. These words correspond to our experience. So yeah, completely relevant what we experience, what we feel the breath, and try to bring your attention again to the sensation of the breath, or at least to the movement of the breath. If distracting thoughts come, try to just ignore them. We don't try to fight them, to push them. Just withdraw your mind, bring it back to the breath. So this is what it is simple, a more empirical method. And I told you, for those who are difficult to concentrate, if the mind is very scattered and distracting thoughts come, they can use this counter method. Probably they can remember it. I am not going to repeat it. Just from 1 to 5, you can count. So you can see that this also helps to avoid these distracting thoughts. So, but if there are very strong emotions while you meditate, in case, you tell, it's called not for everybody, but it can happen for some people if they have some strong emotions, some memories come, who can actually very strong emotions like anger, hate, and so forth. We have mentioned, you can practice meditation. If the mind comes calm, then you can return back to the breath. So therefore, we are going to start. The time will be 35 minutes. After that, you can ask any questions you have. We have somehow devote more time. All right, the bell is going to ring. The bell. Okay, we're going to start. I could not hear any sounds. So the time is over. Usually after the meditation, if you have encountered any difficulties, you can mention them. So others who want to ask any other question, they can ask. As I already told you, the options are that you can go down to the Zoom screen, and with the arrow, you can find a small icon which has a face, small face, which says reactions. You can raise the palm. You can ask any question verbally, or you can go to the icon which says a chat, and you can type your message there, your text, in the form of question. So another option is, if you can't, if difficult to do this both, you can raise your physical hand, and those who have time, they can stay and listen. So for the question session, and the question and answer session. So then for the time being, there are some questions already in the chat box. So Karis Hervey asked the question, I can only meditate for about 20 minutes before bodily discomfort takes over. Can that duration still be beneficial? For beginners, it's okay. You can start with 20 minutes, so that is all right. But if you want to avoid bodily discomfort, make sure that you sit in a comfortable position. So then, I don't know how you got this bodily discomfort. What is the position you took? If you have sat on the ground or on the chair and so forth. So usually if you sit on the ground, you might feel some discomfort, especially on the knees. If you sit on a chair, try to put a cushion on the, upon the chair, and then only sit. So, and somehow this discomfort will also disappear. So then I'm not, because I don't have much details how you got discomfort, what is the position you adopted. Therefore, I can't tell you what are the, what's called, how you can avoid it. So if you can tell me more details, I can give you some tips how you can avoid in a certain posture, in a certain position, how you can avoid this discomfort.
Ante, I have unmuted Kari, so she can ask directly. She can describe.
Yes, you can. Hello. Yes.
Hello.
I was sat cross-legged.
Okay.
With a.
Bante, you need to mute yourself. Okay, I'll do this. Okay. Yes, we can hear now.
So what happened?
It was an echo. It was an echo.
So I think it has been interrupted. I can't hear anything. So maybe some technical problem. So I'm going to ask the other question till the technical problem is solved. Can we, Zori asked the question, can we switch the things the question is not very clear because I can't understand what RW means. So then the other question is from Vesna is, I would like to know what is your opinion about transcendental meditation and the difference. So as far as I know, transcendental meditation uses some mantras, some phrases, which the meditator has to repeat. And according to the meditator, the teacher has to choose the mantra, the phrase the meditator has to repeat. And this phrase has to be given in a secret way, in that meditator should keep it in secretly, should not tell to others, something like that. I don't know, because I got information, different information and so forth, but this is generally what I came to know. And as actually it is a Hindu type of meditation, they repeat several mantras. That is very common in Hindu meditation. And these mantras, sometimes they don't have any what's called any meaning according to the reality we experience. Sometimes you have to visualize things or to fantasize things and just repeat words. Sometimes even the meaning it is not clear. The meaning is not clear and so forth. You have to concentrate upon the meaning, which you have not experienced, is beyond your experience. And whatever the case is, this is the little things, at least I know about transcendental meditation. If you know any more things, you can compare them, because now after I explain these things today, if you already know something about transcendental meditation, you can see the difference. We try to concentrate on within the range of experience, what you really experience, real things, not unreal things. What happens in our process of body and mind. So if metta meditation has to do more with the mind, this is not to repeat like mantra. We experience according to what is relevant within our range of experience. We don't try to imagine something, visualize something which is not there. So then you can see the difference. And the main thing is concentration, to achieve a kind of concentration, samadhi. And that is also a kind of unshaken mind, so that the mind can become very stable to avoid this kind of fragmented mind. So, and we use terms which are completely make sense, which are relevant to the experience. We don't use words which are irrelevant to our experience. So therefore now you can check and see if you have practiced today, what is the difference between these two kinds of meditations. So Zori says, I mean, it is easier for me to focus on breath in and breath out instead of beginning and I can practice that for longer, even for the whole meditation. No problem, you can ask, you can do it. So if that is the case, you can stay and repeat in breath, out breath, just to focus on that. So slowly later, of course, I mean, you can also go and see more details. So, but no problem. You can go ahead the way you have done it. Main thing is your concentration becomes stronger. You can actually stay with your breath for longer time. So you can just repeat in breath, out breath. That is good. Okay. Kat Prodga asked the question, what is the best time duration for this meditation? So Actually, with this meditation, there is no limit. Some, if they get good concentration, they can sit 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours without any called disturbance, because they lose completely the perception of the body. So, and they they live in bliss. So, and they don't mind spending more time staying in this bliss. So then, that is a training. Some they have to do it gradually. Therefore, now you can start with 20 minutes and slowly you can increase your meditation. So then, therefore, now it is up to you to decide the time according to your capacity. You must not force yourself. Don't do that. It's not good. So then you must know that the body has also some limits. It can prevent you if you force it. So try to do it gradually and so forth within your capacity. And slowly you can try to increase from 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and slowly 45 minutes. So you can see if the mind gets concentrated, then it's much easier to sit even longer time. So then, so Anshu Kapoor asked the question, how to avoid numbness in the legs? Yes, that is again about the position you take, the posture plays a big role. So this is what I also ask Karis Hervey. So she also discomfort. This discomfort can appear as a numbness, can be as called a pain. So therefore, you have to be make sure that your position is comfortable. If you sit, try to sit on a cushion. I don't know whether Karis told me that she's sitting cross-legged on the ground. So therefore, if you do the same, I will suggest you do some small exercises. So then in order for the limbs to become more elastic, more flexible. So, and then you avoid this kind of discomforts. So on exercises, if you, while you sit on the cross-leg down on the floor, so you can bend your body forwards till even you can touch the ground till with your forehead. So after you can bend it again back and then bend it towards backwards till you can. So as much as you can. After you put it again straight and then turn it towards the right till you can. And after towards the left till you can. If you do it like that, forwards, backwards, and then right, left, again, you can see that it's called the limbs become more stretched. It's a stretching exercise. And you can see more comfortable. So therefore, before you start, do this exercise. And you can see that the spine becomes more erect. And you can see how you can sit comfortable. So then you can sit on a cushion. You can also put a cushion under your knees so that there is support under the knee. There is no any discomfort if you leave the knees unsupported. So that is one way you can sit comfortably. If it is even more difficult, then you can go close to the wall till you touch the wall with your spine or any vertical surface. So like a cardboard or like that. So, and then you can put a small pillow on the lower part of your spine so that you can support your spine and it can become very straight. If it becomes very straight, so then it is easy to stay longer without any discomfort. These are small tips. If you follow, you can see there will be a change. This numbness will not come, and also the other discomfort will be less, at least. It will not be so intense. Shannon asked the question, when I meditate, I quite often have dream-like abstract visuals. Is this normal, and should I be trying to get rid of this somehow? So, yes, it can be normal because the mind creates all the time something. We never tell these things to happen. Our mind is a big creator of so many things. So then, therefore now, what you should do, it is not try to get rid of them. We try just to withdraw your mind towards the breath, as we have told today. So then try to concentrate it. Even if you try to count the breath, it is also good. As I told you, these distracting thoughts can be overcome if you count the breath again, because you have to remember numbers, one after the other, because it is succession of numbers you have to remember. So then the mind has to remember the numbers and not to miss the numbers. So the mind becomes occupied by counting. So that way you can actually avoid looking at these visuals, abstract visuals and dream-like visuals. So then you can train the mind to focus more to the breath, or at least try to focus on the sensation of the breath, try to feel the breath, to experience the breath, and give more importance to that experience than experience all these visuals. Mari asked the question, this is my first time meditating with you and would like to be more focused. As I find I have some distractions coming into my mind. How do I develop, please? Yes, I told you about distraction of the mind. So if it are just simple distractions on the mind, you can actually try to the counting method. But if these distractions are strong emotions, which you have for maybe for weeks, for days, so in that case, you can practice metta meditation, try to identify what this emotion is. If it is specific emotion which can cause these distraction thoughts, can be anger, can be dissatisfaction, can be stress, can be anxiety. So then you can name them the way you feel them, the way you understand them. I'll just give you some examples. Can be hate, can be jealousy, can be fear. Try to identify them, recognize them. So, and then after that, wish yourself, may I be without this. That means, may I be free from this. So by wishing so, try to bring all your attention to yourself, and you can see that without any support, these emotions go away. So then because you withdraw your mind, take it away from them. You don't try to fight with them. You try to take your mind away from this emotion. So that is how you can overcome and so not get disturbed by these thoughts. So in these thoughts, without any, these emotions, without any support, they just disappear. If we get involved with them, of course, you get entangled with it, you try to push them away, and you try to create a fight, a conflict within you. So that is where actually this emotion can intensify. So by withdrawing your mind, you take away your mind from them, but maybe without this, so you understand the danger in them, you try to not to get involved with them. This is how these emotions have no more support, they will drop by themselves. Eli asked the questions. Is it normal feeling hot during the meditation? Is it necessary to stop meditating? So I don't think, as called, this heat can come from meditation. Maybe if one strains oneself, can be. That's why I told everybody before you start, try to tell yourself, relax, 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 not to feel some strain like that, and try to relax. So if you relax and so forth, you don't generate heat inside the body. So, but even if this heat comes, you just ignore it. Try to ignore it and not pay attention to it. Try to concentrate the mind more and more on the breath. So, and try to feel both breaths, in breath and out breath. Especially if you give so much attention to the out breath, so the heat, the hot air comes out and you can feel the heat more. Try to give attention also to the in breath. So the in breath is more cooling because you inhale cool air. So the out breath is more heaty because it comes from the heat from our body. So try to give attention to both, to the in breath, which is cooling, also the out breath. Slowly, slowly will be some balance between the heat and the cold which you feel. But before you meditate, try to ventilate your room. It's good to ventilate the room. So, because after many hours, if the door and the window is closed, so you get, if you get short of oxygen, you feel heat coming in your body because it is also it's called dioxide comes in. So therefore, now try to ventilate the room. And if you have a small fan, that is also okay. So, so then you can keep somehow the room well aired and to have a lot of oxygen in the room. These are small tips, and try and see if it works. So I think it will work because it is not difficult. So then, so Caris, can you hear me? So you can't talk. Okay, I can understand. All right.
Yes, I was sat in the cross-legged position on a small yoga block, and the discomfort I was getting was in the knees being crossed and pins and needles, that sort of feeling. So I could only last about 20 minutes and then I had to move my legs, and when I did, it was like, oh, they were just dead legs, which
Okay.
I just lay straight and just carried on with the focusing on the breath, but I did have to move positions. But I appreciate what you said about the exercises, so I'm going to try that.
Yeah, trying that also, and sometimes also try to sit on the bed so that the legs are bending down and the circulation of the blood will be easier. Especially for Western people, they have difficulties to sit on the ground because the muscles are not trained for that. Then the muscle get twisted somehow. Then there is pressure. So then, therefore, I told you to make this exercise to stretch a little bit the muscles, and you can see how easy it will be. And try to put some cushions under your knees, so some support. So that will help to some time to stay longer, but you can't expect to stay maybe, you might be able to extend up to 45 minutes. After 45 minutes, the pain might come. So you have to, don't force yourself, do it gradually. So don't go beyond your capacity of the body. So, and slowly, slowly the body, the muscle will become more flexible.
I'll keep practicing. Thank you.
Okay, you are welcome. So there are no more questions in the chat box. So, all right. Yes, now on question came. So the name is not there, it's just the phone number. The phone name is there, Motorola. So then the question is, when I meditate, my mind gets active, moving from past, remembering things that have happened, or future, planning or imagining things I will do. What will be most helpful to label them thinking or memories? Thank you. Okay, Willy is my name. So then now we use this kind of meditation with breathing, which actually can somehow remove these distracting thoughts if we try to remove it from these thoughts and focus it on the breaths. So, but as I told you, if these thoughts are very distracting, memories and so forth, the mind jumps from object to object. So then we can use this counting method. You can try with that, maybe walk. So, but if there are certain strong emotions, why the mind does like that, you can identify what the emotion is and try to focus on that emotion, try to focus on yourself, and wish yourself may be without this emotion. So then this negative emotion. So, but as I understand, because the mind moves from past to future, that means it has no direction. It has no specific direction. It's just diluted thoughts, which come, go, come, go. The mind likes to be busy. It's called the inner chatter of the mind. It's chatting. The mind likes to be chatting. So that is very common. If people stay alone, if they don't have friends around, they like to chat by themselves. So that is, and that is why the mind starting producing conversation by itself, try to bring things from the past, putting in the future. So therefore now that is a very normal thing which happens. Therefore now try to concentrate on the breath as much as possible, even with counting method. So if that doesn't work, then you can try the meditation we're teaching tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday, we're teaching Vipassana meditation, by which one can observe these thoughts in a very particular way. So then one can overcome them to see the impermanent nature of them. So by seeing the impermanent nature of them, one does not give so much attention because one knows the next moment these thoughts are going to go anyhow. Why to give them so much attention? In that case, one is called detaches one mind from them. So, and then does not get involved with these thoughts. That is a meditation we are going tomorrow, this Vipassana meditation. So that is one way for those who have a lot of this kind of thoughts coming in the mind and so forth, they can see them from a different angle, from the impermanent angle, from the impermanent nature of them. So then, really raise the hand. You can unmute, maybe it goes.
Thank you very much, Bhante. That was very, very helpful. Thank you for your suggestions. I will practice them.
You're welcome.
And indeed, I am spending a lot of time by myself. Therefore, probably my mind is very chatty. So that was also very helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. So there are no more questions. What?
I say it's good. No questions, we finish. Go to sleep now.
Yes, yes. We're going to finish earlier. Actually, those days, yes, it is almost the same time we're finishing. All right, now tomorrow we're going to present the Vipassana meditation, insight meditation. So for those who want to participate, I'm telling them that we have presented this PowerPoint presentation last time, and we're going to repeat it. It's actually for practice. It's not something new to learn. It's the same practice. Those who want to familiarize themselves with that. So then those who have seen this PowerPoint presentation, they can skip it if they like and come 1 hour later, enter the Zoom 1 hour later, because in the end of an hour, I will repeat briefly what the practice is. So then they can catch up. So for the new comers, of course, they must know certain details. So in the general lines, how to practice it. And then in the end, of course, I will repeat again in a very brief way, and you can start meditating. So the time will be the same as today. And we're going to wish you good night, everybody. To be happy, safe, and good progress with your meditation. Actually, you can meditate this at your home anytime you are free. Especially morning times are quite easy for many meditators. Keep your room free of noises, and especially choose a time when you are energetic. Avoid meditating, especially after meals, because many people, they feel sleepy afterwards. So then choose a time when it is very comfortable for you. So, and try to increase the time from 20 minutes to 30 minutes and so forth. So then wish you good progress, and till next time.
Okay, bye-bye. Okay. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Good night. Good night.